talk a little arts, a little theater, a big production headed to the Fox Theater, Spamalot, a cult classic, of course, a sense of humor. And one of the actors in the show actually grew up in Gainesville, Georgia. We are talking about Delaney Benson, growing up as the daughter of Jodi Benson, a big name. Joe Ripley caught up with the actor to talk more about this production.
And I'm in the ensemble and I understudy the Lady of the Lake in Spamalot. My family moved to Gainesville, Georgia when I was about 5, and I lived here until 2019 when I went to college. So we grew up going to Atlanta, grew up going to the Fox. My first national tour experience was at the Fox, and I saw Wicked in 2006. And now it's kind of crazy to be back, 20 years later. So yeah, my family, I'm in my childhood home, which is so fun to be here for, the next week. So it's kind of bringing back all the memories growing up. So this is based on Monty Python and the Holy Grail, the film, which is, an iconic film that has a cult following. And if you love it, you love it. And if you don't, then I don't know what you've been doing with your life. So basically it follows King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table, and they're called upon by God to find this Holy Grail. And upon searching for the Holy Grail, they meet a woman who lives in the lake. She just, his sword makes her just randomly appear. So she's in the picture. You meet people from Finland. There's the Knights of Ni, which is like an iconic little section of the movie. Then you go to France, and then we have a lot of tropes of France. We have, Cosette from Les Mis. We have the baker with ratatouille on his hat, like feeding the cheese. I play a French woman who is quite hairy, so I lift up my armpits and I have like inches of hair with a poodle, of the trope of like, French people never shave, which I don't know if that's really true, but c'est la vie. So it's just kind of like there's a lot of breaking of the fourth wall, a lot of improvisational moments. And I think what's fun with this show specifically is there's certain parts of the script where it just says like insert improv here. So really the cast member, whoever's playing it, if it's the understudy, if it's who actually plays the part, they get to bring their own comedy to the show. And a lot of the comedy bits are city specific. So whether if it's like, a song that was made popular by someone who is from Georgia, or it has Georgia in the title, or if it's like a jingle of like, a lawyer that plays on the radio. So like a lot of the actors are very smart and in tune with like where we're going next, and have like little booklets of like, oh, what's gonna land here in Atlanta, Georgia. So the great thing about that is it makes our show new every night. And as an actor on stage witnessing this, a lot of times we're caught by surprise because they don't tell the whole company what they're doing. So we're kind of like not in on the joke, just like the audience. So we're kind of, at the same playing field where we're experiencing it for the first time. So I always kind of say like, I don't even really know what to expect in some moments because we're all caught off guard, but that's what comedy is all about. And, all of our people do such a great job of, reinvesting in new bits. And so it doesn't ever feel mundane, which I don't really think I've ever been a part of a show where it feels so new and exciting every night. So I feel like what audiences are going to get from this is just a lot of laughs, maybe some confusion of like, where are they now? Like they're in a mysterious forest. Now they're in France. Now we're in like a Vegas-y like Camelot number, and there's like showgirls. It's like it's hard to explain like the sequencing of events, because if I told you, without the context of the show, you'd be like, what is this? What is going on? But like, everyone that comes and sees it is like, this was hilarious. I was thoroughly entertained. Like, it's so fun. And it's just like a big Broadway musical. Like there's big dance numbers. There's, the 11 o'clock numbers. There's a tap number, like it's kind of got a little bit of everything for everyone. Like, I feel like there's things where, you can relate to at least one aspect, or if not all. So Yeah, it's very fun to be a part of. It's pretty surreal. I've auditioned, multiple times for theaters in Georgia, with this hometown connection, and nothing's gone my way, and that's totally fine. But it's kind of ironic that now my first, professional job in Georgia is at the Fox, at like the largest, theater in the area. Um, so I'm excited for a lot of my family that hasn't seen me perform since high school, so this is pretty surreal for them too, that I'm performing at a stage that's in their backyard, and they don't have to travel to Spokane, Washington, or like Miami, Florida, and it's like it's very accessible to them. So that's what I'm really looking forward to, is for them to see the little girl that they saw growing up on stage, and now she's 25 and in her first national tour. So a lot of emotions are flowing. I think like stepping on the stage just when we even do our sound check, I feel like is going to give me goosebumps. But I feel like when the curtain goes down, like it's going to feel a sense of, such a sense of just joy. My parents, they met performing. So they, obviously ever since I've been alive, they've been, singing and dancing around the house. I've seen them do some concerts, and so I've been around this my whole life, and did community theater growing up, and I was in dance, and then I realized like I don't really like wearing tights. I don't really like wearing a bun, and I switched to soccer. So I played soccer for 9 years, and it wasn't until high school that I had to choose between theater and soccer because, of course, both their practices were at the same time. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to choose theater. I feel like it brings a sense of community to everyone. And I feel like the companionship among theater people, is such a treat. So yeah, I think it was kind of an innate feeling just because I grew up in the sense, with performers, but luckily they never really enforced anything upon me, which I'm so grateful for. So they kind of just let me choose whatever path I wanted to take. And now I sing and dance and act for a living, which is fun. My mom always instilled this mantra into me. It's like, you're going to get 99 no's and one yes. And that one yes is going to change your life. I mean, in all honesty, since graduating, I've had great opportunities doing concerts and regional gigs. But within, all the gigs, there's those, 3 to 6 months of unemployment. So you have to find other things that bring you joy. So I have been a nanny for the past couple of years. And I think it's so important in this industry to not put your full identity in what you do. Find other passions, find things that bring you joy in your day-to-day life, even if it's just a hobby that you randomly take up. Because once you put your identity in, like, I am this performer, and if they don't like me, they not only think I'm not talented, but they don't want to work with me, and then you take everything personal, and then it becomes this battle of disappointment, right? Where it's like, they don't want me, Delaney, but there's only one me, but they still don't want me. And it's like this battle of, and you're just in this cycle. So I would say, whatever is meant for you will not pass you by. That's how I live. And I auditioned for hundreds of projects before Spamalot gave me the yes. And if, the random regional theater in Utah, which is great, if they would have said yes, I would have never been able to audition for this project. And now I'm here, and now I'm in my hometown performing. I'm seeing the country. I'm going to states and cities I've never been before, and they're paying me to see the country, so it's like, it's crazy how life works. And obviously you want to see the big picture. You want to sit here and be like, I'm going to dictate my life, and I want this and this and this, and that's never going to happen, right? Like, life is met with so many different twists and turns. And I would just say, and I'm telling myself this, every day, and I've been, I'm still getting rejections, I'm still auditioning, and I'm still getting no's, and I'm on this, first national tour of a Broadway revival. So it's like, you have to get to a place where you're confident and comfortable in who you are, what you bring to the table. And if you fit their piece of the puzzle, that's great. And if you're not a part of that intricate piece, and your gifts won't serve this project, then that's okay. Then it's saving you from being in an environment and having an opportunity that's not going to be 100% yours. So I think just shifting my mentality of like, it's not the end all be all, find other things that bring you joy. Then when you get that no, it's like, great, I'm not supposed to go to Sarasota, Florida for 4 months. And then your life goes on, and then I get to, find new opportunities. So yeah, I'm still learning everything every day. It doesn't, I don't stop learning. I don't stop growing just because I've met like one of my biggest goals, right, in my career. So yeah, every day is a new day, and I just kind of experience life and not let life like dictate me, but like I get to dictate my own life, right? And I get to make these opportunities and say yes, and I can also say no. So yeah, I feel like it's an ongoing process, but I'm happy where I'm here today. Growing up, if you love theater, obviously like the end all be all is Broadway. Um, but then, I've had friends that are amazingly talented. They make their Broadway debut, and then what, right? And so I've tried throughout the years to like shift my mindset of not necessarily like an end all be all goal, but like some things that would be really cool to experience in my lifetime. So yes, Broadway would be really cool to be a part of at least one production in my life. Going to the West End to even just do a concert to just experience their culture and their lifestyle over there, doing a musical over there. But I think like a really big goal of mine would be to originate a role. It would be really cool for, a team to see me in any aspect, a concert, a musical I'm doing, and being like, we have something for you, to have something that will complement your skill set, that reminds us of you, that you could bring your whole self into. It doesn't feel like it's an acting role, but it's Delaney who fits in this realm of this musical. So I think that would be a really cool goal to meet. But just to be employed, right? I mean, this industry is really hard to get into. And it's, to make ticket sales and to have people come see the shows, you're now competing with A-listers and movie stars, and you have to have a big name. So even when I book these regional jobs for 3 months, I'm like, woohoo! Like this is a major win. So yeah, I guess the overall goal would be to like do what I do in any capacity and make money, and try to sustain a life with not necessarily a job field that pays a lot.
All right, thanks for that conversation. You can check out Spamalot from now until the 26th at the Fox Theater.